I told you Ben Roethlisberger would not return value. He did not. Last week was a successful week in DFS. Let's see if we can repeat this week. What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. These are my Week 2 DFS NFL picks. In this video, I'm going to preview what I think is going to happen in Week 2, what I project is going to happen, and also go through my picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings. This video is sponsored by SquadQL. It's a free app that lets you sync your lineups from CBS, ESPN, or Yahoo. Lets you know if there's players available that's better than the ones you already got. Gives you recent player news. And the best tool on there is the one-click button that optimizes your lineup. Boom! It's super easy, super fast. So please, guys, follow the link below in the description and download the app. Why not? It's free and also helps support this channel. This has been a hectic week, guys. I'm trying to keep this video short. Every time I say I'm gonna keep it short, though, it ends up being long, but hopefully I'll keep this video short, like 10-15 minutes max, hopefully. For the quarterbacks, we have 4 quarterbacks that are the top guys that are gonna be highly owned. No beating around the bush. These are the best quarterbacks this week. They're all in the same games. They're going to be the 2 highest scoring games, at least slated to be the 2 highest scoring games. And that's going to be Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, they play each other, and Drew Brees and Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady and the Patriots failed. The Chiefs upset them. He's going to be pissed. He's going to come back with a vengeance and take it all out on the Saints. My advice is, if you're in a cash game, play one of these 4 guys, especially I think Rodgers and Brady are my top 2 guys in cash games. And in GPP, you're gonna really have to pick what you're gonna do. If you only have one lineup, might as well go contrarian and avoid all 4 of these guys. If you're doing a ton of lineups, maybe you pick some of these quarterbacks in some of the lineups and go contrarian in some. It's just gonna be so hard to win a big prize GPP if you only go with these 4 guys. It's gonna be tough. Other options we have, Russell Wilson playing against the Niners. Hopefully this is a redemption game for him. Not a guy I'm gonna invest a lot in, but I wanted to throw that out there. But I do have some, these are my 3 contrarian quarterbacks to pick. Marcus Mariota, coming off a weak game, facing a tough Jacksonville defense. I believe last year, Jacksonville lost 1 game. They didn't do good at all. And they won 1 game. They did really well against Tennessee. Or vice versa, anyway. One team did good. They met up twice. One team did good 1 week, and then another week, the other team did good. So I think Mariota has some upside. We all know his rushing ability. We all know he's talented. We all know he's got a ton of receiving weapons this year. I like this as a contrarian pick. Also, his price isn't that cheap, so it gives another reason for people to stay away from him. And we all know what happens. 1 week you do bad, then the next week nobody picks you. You're a super sleeper. Nobody's owning you. Sticking to contrarian picks, I like Jay Cutler. All risk, no safety. That's definitely a GPP pick. And Blake Bortles, sticking to that same Tennessee game. Blake Bortles is more of a punt. Look, guys, in DraftKings, he's only 4,400. I think you can go several ways with this. I think if you want to punt at the QB position, you could go Bortles. Or if you want to do super contrarian GPP, you can go with Bortles and stack them with a Jaguars wide receiver who's dirt cheap, whether it be Hearns or Marquise Lee, one of those 2, or both of them if you're trying to be super crazy with your GPP. But that's a contrarian one right there. Some other guys I want to talk about really quick as far as quarterbacks is Phillip Rivers. He's priced very well, good value. Trevor Siemian and Josh McCown. I guess, I don't know. The last 2 I don't even really like. Let's forget it, scratch those last 2 guys. But Phillip Rivers is okay. I just want to give you guys some other options. All right, I like to give other options, but I'll let you guys know which ones I like more, which ones I like less. For running backs, as far as expensive running backs go, I like Ezekiel Elliott. I think people will shy away from him a little bit. His price tag is not that cheap, and he's facing the Broncos, a great defense. I'd say a great pass rush defense, a great secondary, and a good run defense, but not a great run defense. We all know that's the way to attack them is through the running back. And Ezekiel Elliott, he did pretty well against the Giants. I think the Giants' defense is better, especially against the run, than the Broncos. So I don't see any reason why he doesn't do even better against the Broncos. They're on the road. They're going to be running the ball a lot. I see Ezekiel Elliott getting well over 20 carries this game. Another guy somewhat in that range is Melvin Gordon. I absolutely love Melvin Gordon in cash games, especially in FanDuel. I'll get to that in a moment, because in DraftKings we have these two guys, Kerwin Williams and Jacquizz Rodgers, who I absolutely love. They're priced way too cheap. On FanDuel they're not. On DraftKings they're dirt cheap. So I love those guys in cash games, but on FanDuel I'll probably avoid them except if it's GPP. Some other running backs I like: Jay Ajayi, a little bit risky. Cheaper on DK though. Marshawn Lynch, this guy is freaking incredible. You can start him in both DK and FanDuel. I like him a lot. I'm trying to think how much he's going to be owned, and I think because he didn't ball out week 1, it won't be too crazy. Like, he'll be owned a lot. They're playing the Jets. Like, there's no doubt about it. But I think if he balled out week 1, I'd say this, yeah, if he balled out week 1, he would have way more ownership week 2. He'll still be heavily owned because he's facing one of the worst teams in the NFL. Raiders are heavily favorited to win. I like McCaffrey, and we're talking about recency bias. He didn't perform that well week 1. And in DraftKings, he's priced pretty good. And we all know it's full PPR in DraftKings. So at 5,600, I do like McCaffrey to explore in DraftKings. In FanDuel, okay, but DraftKings is full PPR. This guy can get 5, 6, 7 receptions, and I love the upside. If he scores a touchdown, boom, you're in. And one guy I like in GPP is Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman, man, 5,300 on DK and only 5,700 on FanDuel. That's a steal. This is more of a GPP pick, and I see a little bit of what's going on. Like we saw last year, that Freeman was definitely the starter, but Coleman was getting all the touchdowns. That can definitely happen this game. Against the Packers, I think we can see 6 Falcons possibly score. Not all 6, are going to score, but we're talking about Hooper, Gabriel, Sanu, Julio Jones. We're talking about Freeman, and of course Coleman. That's a lot of players, and all of them have the chance to score this game. Why not Coleman? We already talked about Kerwin Williams and Jacquizz Rodgers. And just to name some other names really quick, Chris Carson and Marlon Mack, they're only silly GPP pick. And 2 guys I do like though that are cheap are James White and Rob Kelly. Rob Kelly performed horribly week 1. He's super cheap week 2. I think he's going to be good, especially DraftKings, only 3,900. And James White, guys, I have a good feeling about James White this week. I just do. I think against the Saints, I think you're going to use James White. I just think that's the formula. Out of the 4 running back carousel the Patriots have, that's my gut, but who knows? It's the Patriots. For wide receivers, probably my favorite wide receiver this week is Julio Jones. I like Mike Evans on DraftKings because he's priced fairly cheap, 7,700. That's actually really cheap. And Larry Fitzgerald's kind of like my wide receiver to rely on. I think he's got a high floor. With all the injuries, David Johnson's injured. John Brown, I'm not sure what's going on. I don't think he practiced Wednesday nor Thursday. I think it's a quad injury. Nonetheless, Fitzgerald, FanDuel, he's even cheaper, only 6,600. He's the solid guy that I want to pick. A little bit more of a cash game guy. And I found Demaryius Thomas and Keenan Allen priced pretty cheap on DraftKings. I had to throw that out there. For GPPs, I like Chris Hogan and Devontae Adams because we all know Devontae Adams didn't do good week 1. And that means that nobody's going to own him week 2, right? I mean, it's just the way it goes. Adam Thielen, a little bit like Fitzgerald. I like him. Good value pick. 5,000 on DK and 5,800 on FanDuel. And here's a guy who's priced really cheap, Terrell Williams. I tell people like season long, he's overrated, this and that. But this isn't season long, guys. This is DFS. Where only 4,700 is all you got to pay to get yourself Terrell Williams on DraftKings. I feel like that is great great value. Just 2 more guys. So for GPP, just wait. Don't jump to conclusions yet. I have Dante Moncrief. I think he's gonna have a good matchup, and because Patrick Peterson's gonna be on Hilton, I think Moncrief can do some things. If Jacoby Brissett starts, I think that he has a little bit more upside. So I like Dante Moncrief simply as just throwing a dart. If you have, let's say, 20 lineups going, I would have him in 1 or 2, maybe 0. But I want to throw that out there. I think he's a super sleeper pick. I mean, who's going to really pick Dante Moncrief? A guy who's kind of proven, but because Luck's not playing, he's not going to be, Dante Moncrief's probably going to be what, like 1%, 2% at most owned. I think that's really, really good contrarian pick, and they're going to have to throw the ball in the 4th quarter. I also like Taylor Gabriel, my homie. Turbo Taylor Gabriel, again, priced super cheap on both platforms. $4,000 on DK and $4,900 on FanDuel. For tight ends, who doesn't like Gronk, right? But let's go to the other ones. We all know Gronk's like, how can you not rank Gronk tight end 1? Like, that's on everyone's rankings. He's tight end 1 every week. So let's talk about Zach Ertz. A little bit of a sleeper pick here. Not so much, but a little bit contrarian. I don't know. I guess not, but this is why. Because Eric Berry is out, and I think some people, without looking too much, without diving too much into it, maybe his ownage would go down 1 or 2%. Then it should, because he's playing the Chiefs, and people are like, oh, Chiefs, good defense. Chiefs, good against the tight end. Not so fast there, though, because Eric Berry is out. Zach Ertz is balling. I think Alshon Jeffrey gets all the attention, and the homie Aguilar and the homie Zach Ertz will be getting a lot of targets. I think this will be a storyline with the Eagles that we'll see just about every week. I truly believe that. His price is a little bit expensive, so that might stray people away from picking him. Maybe that lowers the orange percentage 1 or 2% more. So because of the Eric Berry injury, who's, man, one of the best defensive players in the NFL right now, period, I just wanted to mention Zach Ertz. Also, I need to mention that Kelsey is extremely cheap on DraftKings, only $5,100. Want to throw that out there. But this week, man, I'm really looking at these 3 cheap options. We have Charles Clay, only $3,000 on DK. Zach Miller is priced about minimum price on FanDuel, guys, at $4,500. Absolutely love that. I think he's going to get a lot of targets. When I say a lot, like probably not double digits, but enough to do some things, maybe even squeeze in a touchdown. I think he'll return value. And we know that the Bears are going to be down. And when I took a glance at the Buccaneers defense, they're really good against a tight end. But when I looked further into that, they've failed against almost every good tight end, and they played a lot of teams that didn't have a good tight end. So that points against the tight end is usually skewed, guys. You got to look at what teams did they play. Like if they're bad against the tight ends, but they played Gronk twice when he was in his prime, like when he was fully healthy, of course your stats are gonna suck. But you know, the Bucs, I just say like they're average, okay? And it's really tough to really gauge how they do against a tight end, except if they have a guy like Eric Berry who shuts down tight ends. Good punt, good cheap pick, and good sleeper pick. And another one that's similar to that, that's more risky, is Julius Thomas. Now this guy is more attractive on DK to me because only $2,800. That is super. That's basically like the cheapest tight end you can get. Zach Miller is only $2,900 on DK, by the way. But those two are switched. Like Julius Thomas cheaper on DK, Zach Miller way cheaper on FanDuel. For defenses, just gonna go through them really quick. Not much to analyze here. Probably my favorite defense is the Ravens, but we have the Cardinals defense playing the Colts. We have the Seahawks. They're at home playing the Niners. Lots of potential there. We have the Ravens, probably one of the best value defenses and elite defenses this week. Only $3,700 on DK. Only $4,700 on FanDuel. We have the Raiders D going against the Jets, a lot of upside. A little bit of my sleeper pick is the Buccaneers defense. They're priced okay. And here's one that I really like, guys. Jaguars is priced really low on FanDuel. I think I ponied this out on the last video, the week 1 video we did. And here's a super sleeper / punt is the Browns defense. Look, Joe Flacco hasn't really practiced. and Danny Woodhead is out. The Ravens offense isn't high octane. This could be a it will be a low scoring game. And if the Browns are able to play a little bit of defense like they did against the Steelers, I mean, gosh, they almost beat the Steelers last week. I think this is a good punt. Now, it's not one that I'm going to pick a lot, but it's one that I definitely want to mention. They're super cheap. They're one of the cheapest defenses at only $2,400 on DK and $4,100 on FanDuel. That defense is kind of surprising me a little bit, but it's only been 1 week. Let's see how they do week 2. And for you FanDuelers out there, I just want to go over some cool kickers. Phil Dawson is my minimum price kicker, and Yunwei Koo is at $4,600. That's a little bit of a GPP pick. I think people are going to be looking at him. He doesn't have a picture when you select him. There's no picture there. It's a blank mystery man, and he had a horrible performance fantasy-wise, statistic-wise, week 1, but we all know it wasn't really his fault. So that's why I have him a little bit as a GPP. Other kickers I like are Blair Walsh and Nick Folk. They're both priced at $4,600. I'm not going to get too much more into kickers. Obviously, like the high price guys like Tucker and Matt Bryan are awesome, but I like to look at the cheap kickers, and I think there's just as much value nearly as some of those elite guys. Like Blair Walsh, he's playing in Seattle at home against the Niners, a lot of upside. Nick Folk, I truly believe in the Folk hero. He also has a good matchup going against the Bears, so I like those guys. Why spend up if you don't need to on a kicker this week? Check out our website, fantasycouch.com. Lots of premium content for DFS lineups, for game projections. We also have MMA, NFL, all that good stuff. Check out the website, guys. Leave a comment below. Use hashtag AskTheBrain if you were asking me a question, whether it be about season-long leagues or DFS. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel by hitting this couch icon over here to my side. Like the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.